Today's video is a map of New Zealand. So, I'll write New Zealand up in the top left hand corner, and then I'll do a little north, south, east and west little compass points up there to keep me focused. Now, first things first, it's time for a piece of PK chewing gum, and I'll carefully pop out a pellet, and now I'm going to pop that in my mouth. Okay, so I'm going to start up in the top of New Zealand, and it has a little loop shape like that up here in the north. And I'm going to start over here as well, so I sort of get my corners. This is the Bay of Plenty. Often find the maps are a little bit more accurate when I sort of start in the corners and work my way around. Now, I have promised for a while that I was going to redo the map of New Zealand. And now's my time. I did it early on when I didn't spend that much time on the maps. I did more time in talking about the countries, I think. But anyway, don't think that's too bad. And round like that, I guess. Maybe a little bit of erasing there, perhaps. And then it sort of scoops. It's a big sort of a bay, or kind of a scoop on the map like that, I suppose you'd call it. And then around here, around near Taranaki. I haven't got that right at all. I think I like that. Yeah, I think that's probably more it. And yeah, I think that's probably not too bad. That's the North Island, and then sort of down in this shape is the South Island, and probably I could make that a little bit thinner there, I suppose. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now, most people in New Zealand live in the North Island, and obviously the North Island is warmer because we're in the Southern Hemisphere. It's warmer than the South Island. So if I start down in this sort of bottom section of New Zealand, down around Invercargill and Otago, and round here to Dunedin, and if you've watched the pineapple lumps video, then I did mention that the pineapple lumps were made in a factory down in Dunedin until 2018, and then from 2018 they were made in Australia and sent over to New Zealand, which is sort of kind of amusing, I suppose. Well, not really amusing, but just really the way of the world, where different economies of scale and things. I've edited out a big chunk there. There was a plane going overhead, and I started rubbing that out, this section here out, and then realised there was a plane, so I've edited that bit out around here to Greymouth. And around. Okay. I might have made that a little bit thick there, I think. I'll try again. They're really nice rubbers, that black rubber, black eraser. So I want to sort of come in a little bit like that, I think, and then maybe come out, and maybe this bit here has to be a little bit thicker, maybe. Yeah, so a little bit thicker. Yeah, that's sort of not quite right there. I don't think it sort of comes up and then, yeah, sort of curls around, I think, and then back around. I probably made that bit there a little bit thick. But apart from all that, I think that's pretty good. And there's a big island down the bottom, which I've sort of missed, but it's called Stewart Island. I might colour in New Zealand in a lovely purple, I'd say. I'll do all the edges now. This is around a Taranaki, which is I may have mentioned this before. Well, no, I have actually mentioned this before, that my ancestors came out from Manchester. They were in Rangoon for a while, came out with the British Army, and they settled in Taranaki and decided they were away for a while, but then decided to pack it in and come to Australia. Came out to Australia for a better life, just like people are doing today. They did 20 years ago, 50 years ago, and 150 years ago. Came out where it was a bit warmer, more opportunities. So yeah, that's the story now, New Zealand. is mainly made up of Europeans, only from the United Kingdom. Around about 16% are Maoris, and a 12% are of Asian origin, which I think that would also include people from the subcontinent as well. There's lots of islanders who have come to live in New Zealand, islands like Fiji and Samoa, Tonga. There's two Samoas. There's American Samoa and there's just regular Samoa. It's people from I think it's, well, I don't really know. I think it would just be people from the regular Samoa would come to New Zealand. And I think I mentioned in my pineapple lumps video that around about maybe 600,000 or 700,000 New Zealanders are living and working in Australia, and about, I think it might have been 70,000 Aussies are living and working in New Zealand. Yeah. So down here around the south, it's pretty cold. Down in the south it snows and all those sort of things. Now I'm not sure if I've mentioned this, I don't think I have. I did do New Zealand a while ago, but with Australia and the USA and Canada and England, United Kingdom I think. But I did them in the old style, so I decided to redo the maps in my new style, or my more detailed style. Yeah. Love a bit of good colouring in. Takes me back to my kindy days. Okay. Going around the North Island, the Cook Strait, which would have been named after James Cook, the English explorer. He was over exploring 1770. He was over exploring around Australia, and he's obviously he was probably exploring on that same trip over into New Zealand. Yes, he was, that's right. That's 250 years ago. This year, which some people in Australia are getting excited about. Yeah, that's not too bad. The population of New Zealand, 4.6 million people. I better write that over here in my little stats. Under New Zealand, pop, 4.6 million. I'm not sure when they started, yeah, that's the blue, yeah. I'm not sure when they started, the English started to colonise New Zealand, but I didn't see that anywhere in my research. I suppose I should look that up. It was 1788 was in Australia, and my guess is it was probably soon after that. New Zealand is part of the Commonwealth. Was part of the British Empire, and then Australia became an independent nation in 1901 at Federation, and New Zealand was about the same time. There's something there actually, but I just can't remember that. I don't think I saw that in my facts and figures. There was something. Yeah, I can't remember it. was, discussing it with New Zealand, whether, they joined together and all become one nation. But New Zealand decided to go it alone and not join in with Australia. Obviously now on the map Australia's over here on the western side of New Zealand, and New Zealand's got the North Island and the South Island, and you see those sort of postcards and things where they have North Island, South Island, and then they have the Australia as the West Island. There's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek about Australia. I don't think anybody really minds. It's all part of all a bit of banter. It's all a bit of fun. There's one TV show that I like. It's a little bit old now, but I've got it on DVD. It's called Flight of the Conchords, and it's actually set in New York, but it's these two Kiwi blokes living in New York, and they're a folk band, and it's actually quite a funny show. They poke fun at Australia in that in a few episodes. I found that to be highly amusing. The Flight of the Conchords. The band meetings were always good, where they'd go and meet at the New Zealand embassy. And Murray, what's his name? His name was Murray in that, I think, yeah. That actor, a New Zealand actor, played the New Zealand consulate, and all I think he did was have meetings with Brett and Jermaine. Brett and Jermaine, they're the two New Zealanders. So there, yeah. And he had anyway, yeah, it's pretty funny. I won't go through all the storylines. I could have then, but I won't. Now, that's looking really good. It's Sharpie time, and I'm going to write. I wonder I'm going to write that ever. I'm going to do it like this, I think. New, and in this way for Zealand. Oh yeah, that's it. And a bit of underlining there for New Zealand. Okay, so the important things to know about New Zealand. There is Wellington, which is the capital city, but it's only got a population of 400,000. I think the Auckland, which is up here, would be the largest city. Auckland, and then you've got Christchurch down here. There was a big earthquake there in 2011, I think it was. Sort of destroyed big parts of the city. Christchurch. Dunedin. It's another important town. That's where they used to make pineapple lumps until 2018. The largest mountain is Mount Cook, and that is Mount Cook, 3,724 metres. And famous New Zealanders, Sir Edmund Hillary. He was in two L's. He was the first man to climb Everest. Him and his Sherpa Tenzing Norgay in Everest. They climbed Everest in 1953. First places that got great names. Bay of Plenty up here. Bay of Islands. This is where Taranaki is over this side. I better put that in. Taranaki, it's sort of around here somewhere. The town of Taranaki. And oh, there we go. I was looking for Queenstown. Queenstown. It's the sort of the adventure section of New Zealand. I think people go bungee jumping there and things. In Queenstown, I think the first bungee jump was in New Zealand. Okay, so bungee jump in I think that was the first. New Zealand was the first place to have a bungee jump, which is in 1988, and then in women got the vote in elections in 1893. They were the first country to give women the vote, and their Prime Minister at the moment is Jacinda Ardern. That's it. Jacinda Ardern. I think she is probably about 40 years old. And yeah, she's a really good leader. Everybody seems to like her. We sort of get old blokes in suits running Australia as Prime Minister. But they've got Jacinda Ardern as their Prime Minister in New Zealand. She's been there for a while. She even, while she was Prime Minister, she gave birth to a baby. That was a year or two ago now. Yeah. So, what else is there to tell you? Rotorua. Hot springs and things, Rotorua. And I did Auckland, Bay of Islands, there's lots of stuff, Christchurch. Lots of, I suppose I better put in Invercargill. Otago. It's down there somewhere. I seem to have one dot for both of them. Lots of English names and a few Taranaki and a few Maori names as well. So the Maoris came to, these are the indigenous New Zealanders, came around about 1300 AD. They arrived. They rode their boats from other islands and settled in New Zealand. It's an amazing feat. All those island people, how they've just hopped in those little boats and paddled, navigated by the stars, and ended up in these populated all these countries. Now Kiwi is a sort of a small flightless bird that's only found in New Zealand, and New Zealanders like being called Kiwis, and Aussies like to call them Kiwis. Kiwis like to call Aussies Aussies. It's all part of the fun. Nobody takes offence, so they enjoy being called Kiwis. Now I should point out this is the North Island. And this is the South Island, that's what they're referred to. North Island, South Island. Most people live up here on the North Island, and not quite as many live down here in the South Island. It's the main cities. Wellington's the capital, Christchurch, and Auckland, and rugby union is a big deal in New Zealand, and so is cricket, and netball is a big deal. Well, not a big deal, but it's a popular sport I suppose I should say, rather than saying it in that fashion. Football as in soccer, and they play a little bit of rugby league as well. Similar games, but just different rules, I suppose. The Hobbit. The Hobbit, the movie set was filmed in New Zealand, and Lord of the Rings were also were filmed in New Zealand. The Hobbit and this. Yeah, that's the people keep asking me to do a map of Middle Earth, but I probably could one day. But I'm going to sort of stick with countries at the moment and talk about that. So I think I've covered everything. The important things, obviously, the English is the language. It's sort of the obvious thing. English is the language, and the cars drive on the left-hand side of the road with right-hand drives in New Zealand. So yeah, I think I've covered a fair bit of information. I probably could have put some more towns in, but I'm not too sure. Well, not that I'm not too sure. Oh, Lake Tapu. There's the largest lake there. It's about there, I think, roughly. I better put that in. Lake Tapu. Hopefully I've spelled that correctly. Okay. I think I've covered everything about New Zealand. Australia's just over here, across the ditch, in to the west of New Zealand. It's a former English colony, and that's probably everything that I was going to say to you. So I'll sign off now and say I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've found it relaxing. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.